All praises and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Yasharallah. This is also salutations to the brothers throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching the truth in sincerity and in faith. This is Hawa Ya'Allah, just bringing to you another lesson. Basically, I'm doing this lesson because I seen an article, just on the movie that's coming up next year, which is X-Men Age of the Apocalypse. And basically, I've had, there's a brother up there in New York that basically does a lot of these shows, GMS Men of Valor. And, he does shows just talking about how Esau, knows that we're the Israelites, and he uses his comic book movies to basically, kind of, show that aspect, but also in a way to kind of mock us, and this one is basically, about Apocalypse, which Apocalypse is really a representation of Yahawashi. All right, and this picture is just one of the pictures that they have here. And you can see in this particular thing that they have here, in this particular setting of their promotion, this is Apocalypse. All right, and you can see the different X-Men characters here, and you can definitely tell 100% that Apocalypse is a Jake. All right, and he's an angry Jake. All right, and he's definitely looking for revenge. All right, so they know this thing. They know what's coming up. And in the article that I read, here it is right here. Oscar Isaac says X-Men Apocalypse villain is positively biblical. All right, so this is what they do. Esau flips the stories because he doesn't want people to basically be able to truly pinpoint who they're talking about in the scriptures. But if you're, someone who has understanding, you're going to know who he's talking about. Now, they have Apocalypse as a villain, but if you know anything about a lot of these comic book movies, you're going to know that a lot of the times that the villains are actually the heroes. All right, similar to, even Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, he was actually, really supposed to be a hero. But they always paint the villain, the righteous, the person that's actually in their right mind as the villain. All right, because Apocalypse is actually in his right mind. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you just what they said in this article. If the title of next year's sequel to X-Men's Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse, sounds like a little grandiose, just wait. In a new interview, Oscar Isaac, who plays the movie's villain, has suggested the movie will operate on a scale beyond anything glimpsed yet in the superhero series. He says, I've been reading the script a lot and trying to come at, for me, an interesting angle. Isaac explained on the Monkeys Fighting Robots podcast. He said that he was definitely focusing on the fact that his character is the embodiment of the second coming of the judgments of God. And that energy going in, we're playing with that. Why? Because these lesser luminaries, they know that this second judgment is coming. They know that the second judgment is referring to that fire, because the first judgment came with the flood. All right, the second judgment, which is also known as the second death, is coming with fire. All right, and so basically they know this. All right, so they're using that energy that they know that they're getting from the higher level elites to basically convey that message in their movies. All right, so they know it's definitely coming, and it's coming quickly. All right, so they're basically pushing that vibration in their movies. Whether this movie ever comes out, because it's scheduled to come out next summer, we don't even know if this place will even be here next summer. Especially when you're considering just the prophecies that are moving and the pace that it's going. It's moving at a rapid pace right now. So it might be famines and all kinds of destruction going on. When that happens. So we don't even know if this movie's ever really going to be able to come out or really be shown to the public. But here it is. Isaac will play Apocalypse, a character whose comic book incarnation was the first human ever to display the X gene that makes mutants. All right. So this right here is basically playing on Yahawashi, because if you know anything through the scriptures, especially brothers that are in the know, we know that Adam, that Yahawashi was Adam. All right, and he was the first one of his kind. He was the prototype of the seed line of the Israelites. All right, and that gene that's in him, according to the flesh, that is the bloodline that went all the way and carried down to Noah, to Shem, to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, and then to Jacob's 12 sons, who are made up the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so they know that there's a gene line that actually is within us. All right, and when the Most High gives us that power, it unlocks what we have inside our bloodline fully with His Spirit. It's going to be a level of man that no one has ever seen before. All right, that has not been seen since the beginning. You know, and we'll get into some few different precepts to show that we're going to get and unlock into that superhuman, that celestial body that's just going to be a completely glorious tabernacle that we're going to have. And that was what was displayed within Apocalypse. All right, so born in ancient Egypt, he had been revealed to be immortal and has used alien technology to create followers that he refers to as horsemen. All right, so it goes into the whole horseman thing because you know about the horsemen in the scriptures. All right, and those horsemen are representation of the different, periods, about the different things, judgments, different periods of time that we're in and have come into. All right, and we know that one of the horses that was sent forth was like the red horse, which is Esau, and that's the time that we're in right now. We know that we got the pale horse, and we got the black horse as well. All right, so you got the different levels of horses, and that's referring to the biblical, that's referring to Revelations, all right, to do his bidding, that's true, all right, because those horses are definitely a representation of the bidding of the judgments of the things that the Most High wants to have done on earth, all right. So despite that terminology, however, the comic book incarnation of the character hasn't traditionally been closely tied to the religious reading, nor represented the judgment of God. Why? Because a lot of these people, a lot of these comic book readers, they don't believe in it. They don't believe on the word. It's these lesser luminaries. They're the ones that take stuff from the scriptures and they remix it and they basically throw it out there. And these comic book, fiends, all right, these comic book bug outs. I'm not talking about the brothers that are in the know. I'm talking about these people, these Edomites, and a lot of these people that are into comics. They have no idea what it's talking about, but we know through the scriptures exactly what it's talking about, and we know it's talking about the judgment. We can refer to the scriptures with that, which I'm going to do. All right, so basically, that's the vibration that they're pushing out with this movie. All right, and let's go ahead and start off at Luke chapter 2 verse 23. All right, as it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. All right, so basically what it was is that Yahawashi, when he was Adam, being the first creation, he was the one that opened up the womb. He was the first one of many brethren. All right. So that's the same thing that it's referring to with Apocalypse, him having that X gene, the first of his kind. All right. Now we go into Exodus 13:1, and Yahweh and spake unto Moses, saying, sanctify unto me all firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. All right, so basically, Adam was already chosen as that firstborn, and that was Yahweh's. All right, and then when you come through in the with Yahawashi, when he was born, he was also the firstborn of many brethren, because he was going to be able to help redeem us back unto the Father. So he always have that honor as being that first of his kind as well. All right, and that goes back to the word about the whole thing with Apocalypse. All right, now John 12:24. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. All right, so that's what happened with Yahawashi. Yahawashi was put on the cross. All right, delivered to basically be an atonement, basically be the atonement for the sins of the whole nation. All right, and he had to die, and of course he died, and he basically rose back up, just like a corn of wheat would fall into the ground and die, and it would bear and bring forth fruit. All right, and just in the same fashion. All right, so basically he's the first fruit of many brethren. All right, now when we get into Romans chapter 8 verse 28, and we know that all things work together for good, that all things work together for good to them that love the Most High, to them who are also called according to his purpose. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son. All right. So us being the hopeful elect, we're hoping to be conformed to that image of his son. All right. Not only in spirit, but in the spirit of ourselves, as far as of our nature, and us basically holding fast to this word and taking on that nature of the son, but also in that physical glory, which I'm going to bring in later. All right. That he might be firstborn among many brethren. All right. And that's the same thing that they're talking about with Apocalypse. Right, because he was the firstborn of his kind. He was that first immortal that had that X gene. All right. And that X gene, if you know anything about the whole X-Men thing, that sign of the X-Men sign is actually a Hebrew sign. All right. That's a Paleo Hebrew sign. And that sign also means unknown. All right. So because we're unknown to the rest of the world, and we're also outcasts, you know, and that's what the X-Men were. They were outcasts. And so when you look at it, when you see the whole story with the Apocalypse and the other X-Men, they're basically fighting against their own brethren, which shows you that those X-Men, they're really a representation of the 2/3, you know, to a certain degree, because if they're fighting against their older brother, the first of his kind, then they're basically, you know, the enemies as well. So this, you know, kind of deep when you really think about it. But, you know, Esau remixes everything to kind of just show you, you know, that inner turmoil just between that chosen line. All right. So it's basically kind of shows you representation of us as well, you know, and, you know, the guys that are in this truth, that are the hopeful elect, and against the rest of our nation, which also, you know, came from that same line, you know. So go to 1 Corinthians 15:44. It is sown a natural body and it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man Adam was made a living soul, and the last man Adam was made a quickening spirit. All right. And so that first Adam is talking about the first Adam that was created in the garden out of the dust of the ground. All right. And then the last Adam is talking about Yahawashi. All right. Which he is both of those people in the reincarnation. All right. And what is it that we're looking for? When we go down, what we're looking to inherit is that body, that spiritual body. All right, because right now we're still in that natural body. We're not made yet in the full form of the Son until he comes back and you know, we get out of this hellhole that we're in. All right. So what do we want? We're waiting for this moment. In the moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trump shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. All right. And when they talk about him being a mutant, Apocalypse is talking about us being immortals. All right. Because when you're a mutant, you're basically out of the norm. And that's what we're going to be. You know, Lord willing, we're a part of that number, that we're the elect. All right. And receiving that glorious body. All right. And he says here, Revelation 22:12, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. All right. And so we're wanting to take on that, basically that nature of our brother. All right. So, you know, when these Edomites see us, just like it says here, they might as well just choke themselves. All right. Because when we get that body, they're going to know what's what, you know. All right. And we're going to be arrayed in that garment. We're going to have that power. We're going to look like we're going to be, you know, have great stature. We're going to have that great strength upon us, that aura, that glow. All right. And so, you know, brothers, you know, we just continue staying in this faith, you know, do the works, you know, meditate on the scriptures, you know, push this word out as much as you can. You know, and we're going to be, you know, given that immortality that was promised to us from the beginning. All right. So again, all praises and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Yasharallah, and salutations to the brothers throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching this truth in sincerity and faith. This is Yahweh Ya'ala. Shalom.